All those folks who just went by on your screen in one way or another, all of them are part of the 60 Minutes family. All those entertainers we have lived with on stage and off for the past 23 years. Tonight, a family reunion. Perhaps the most entertaining one you ever went to, certainly the best one we ever went to. We'll begin in a moment.
You gotta take this up, Mike. You got a lot of hostility.
I'd rather beat on you. Are you reluctant in putting together your monologue to go hard on a guy?
When Wilbur Mills had his problem with the famous Fanny Fox in the tidal basin and so forth, it was amusing to most people, and you could do jokes about it. I stopped doing jokes immediately as soon as people found out that he was an alcoholic.
Of course, it takes one to know one.
Ah. Cruel. You're cruel.
When they called him the Great One, few could argue. So let's begin his way, and away we go.
Sure you haven't got any money?
No. It's against company rules.
We'll play for fun.
Portrait of a 68-year-old hustler and some memories. Herbert John Gleason, whose appetite for excess made him larger than life in every way, who pranced and partied from Brooklyn to Broadway, who rolled over the networks and the film studios to get what he wanted, who can't read, write, or play a note of music, but who sold millions of records of his made-up melodies, who performed feats of pure fancy, as light-fingered as a jewel thief. Jackie Gleason is a natural, never studied or rehearsed, planned or practiced. He's winged it all his life.
And away we go! Don't you understand? Thornton and I, we chip in $300 and we make $2,000. $2,000, Alice. That's big, big, big. This is probably the biggest thing I ever got into.
The biggest thing you ever got into was your pants.
Alice and Ralph Cramden, the honeymooners.
Being a Weisenheimer, Alice.
Bickering long before Edith and Archie Bunker. It was kitchen sink drama played for laughs.
Are you gonna give me the money?
No.
There were many Cramdens in Brooklyn. Almost everybody was a Cramden in this particular neighborhood that I lived in. And
Pretty lousy husband.
well, no, not really, Morley. When you think of him, the poor soul hasn't got a hell of a lot of ability, but he keeps trying. He gets schemes, and the schemes are all to make he and Alice happy.
Why is this show as successful now, practically, in reruns as it was the first time round? There are only 39 shows.
I could give you
something.
20 academic answers to that.
No.
But
Give
the
me
one
Jackie Gleason's answer.
It's funny.
The golf swing. First, step up. Plant your feet firmly on the ground and address the ball.
How much of the success was due to Norton?
What do they mean by address the ball?
I say 90%. I'll give him 90%. He's just great. He was wonderful.
Step up. Plant your feet firmly. Hello, ball.
Out of the blue, Jackie Gleason decided he didn't want to do the show in New York. He wanted to do it in Miami.
When we're doing the honeymooners, I had a big contract for that for 2 years. And after the first year, I said I didn't want to do it, and they didn't believe me. They thought I had a job somewhere else. And finally, they realized that I just didn't want to do it. And when they approached me to do another show, I was in California making a picture, and I said, all right. I said, but I want a train that goes to Florida, because I had come down here and played golf and liked it, and I figured, might as well go to Florida and do the show, play golf all the time. And they went for it.
What was on that train?
Everything. We had two Dixieland bands come from California. They would spell each other. I'd say to them, take 5 miles. And parties went on 24. I found out that I couldn't attend the parties.
Were there girls on that train?
Were there girls? There certainly were. And they were very, very nice girls. Nothing untoward happened. It might have been because the berths were too small, but regardless of that, nothing happened on that trip.
And was there a bar on that train?
A bar on the train was a bar.
I guess that's a classic example of what clout is.
Yes.
To say, a train, please.
That's right. When you've got good ratings, and you're 1, 2, or 3 in the ratings, there is nothing your little heart desires that they don't provide.
Doesn't work that way anymore, Mr. Gleason.
Did you have a comedy show?
Tell me something. The Great One, where did that come from?
Well, Orson Welles called me the Great One first. And then Lucy started to call me that. And I'm really not offended by it.
Did you ever really believe it?
You just saw me play pool, didn't you?
We never met anyone who didn't love George Burns, but he's even more lovable when you get to know him. For 8 years in the 50s, George played straight man to Gracie Allen's Inside Out Logic in a weekly comedy series that's become a television classic.
Why, what beautiful flowers.
Aren't they lovely? And if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have them.
Me? What did I have to do with this?
Well, it was your idea. You said when I went to visit Clara Bagley to take her flowers, so when she wasn't looking, I did.
Still in reruns today, George credits Gracie with the show's success.
You couldn't touch Gracie. Gracie walked, took small steps, little boys, tiny, cute. The audience loved her, and I did too.
What did you fall in love with, the act or the partner?
I fell in love with the act, I fell in love with Gracie, I fell in love with the audience, I fell in love with show business.
I've heard one story in this 38-year marriage, 40-year relationship you had with Gracie, where you strayed once, and I think got caught.
Yeah, okay, I'll tell it to you. I did. And Gracie wanted a centerpiece for the table. I said, silly, we don't need it. And then I found out from the maid that Gracie knows about this thing I had with this girl. The next day, I not only brought home a silver centerpiece for seminar, I bought Gracie a diamond ring for $10,000. I gave it to her. She never said one word. She took the diamond ring, she took the centerpiece, and then 6 or 7 years later, she said to Mary Benny, I wish George would cheat again. I need another centerpiece.
But she never said a word to you about the other woman?
She was smart. I don't even know the other woman.
In 1958, Gracie retired from the TV show because of a bad heart, a condition she'd kept under control with pills. One night, 6 years later, in 1964, even the pills didn't help.
Whenever Gracie got a heart attack, I'd give her the pill. She'd put it on her tongue until it stopped, and I'd hold her until she got well.
And you were holding her that night?
Yeah. The doctor was in there. And he came back. He said, she's gone. Well, I went in to see her. I told her, I said, how can you do it? Get a pocket full of pills, you know?
At least once a month for the past 24 years, George has visited Forest Lawn, where Gracie is buried.
Hi, Googie.
What do you call her?
Googie.
Googie?
Googie, yeah. This is Ed Bradley. We're going to be on 60 Minutes. We're working together again. Yeah.
You always talk to her when you come out?
Yeah, I talk to her all the time. I hope she hears me. If she doesn't, Makes me feel good. Yeah.
And why is her name on the bottom?
What do you mean?
Well, your name would go up here, I guess.
No, I'm going to change the billing. It's going to be Gracie Allen and George Burns.
And George Burns?
Yeah, she's going to get top billing.
Listen, after hearing you, she deserves top billing.
You bet. Goodbye, kid. See you next month.
Young, old, middle-aged, people respond to George Burns. Take a walk with him and watch them react. This was on the Lower East Side of New York, where he grew up as Nathan Birnbaum, one of 12 children born to Polish immigrants.
This was a largely Jewish neighborhood in those days?
Yeah, all Jewish.
Poor neighborhood?
Yeah, poor, very poor. I slept on the floor. My brothers, myself, my mother once said, you kids are lucky. Some kids have no floor to sleep on. How old are you now?
I'm going to be 80.
Well, get me a glass of water.
Boy, it's changed a lot.
Yeah. Lou Foley is not here. He teaches harmony, we said.
Who was he?
He was a letter carrier. His name was Feingold, but he loved show business, and he loved harmony, called himself Lou Foley. They taught everybody harmony singing. Sing harmony?
No, I can't carry a tune.
Are you sure?
Positive.
For she can carry a gun, good as any mother's son, that's one note. For she can carry a gun, good as any
For
mother's son.
she can carry a gun, good as any mother's son.
Like Murray. For she can, go ahead.
For she can carry a gun,
good as any mother's son. See, with harmony.
So listen, can I go out to Vegas with you?
Sure, we'll play together.
You got room for me in your act?
You kick the back of your head, we'll have a great finish. I've been around for a lot of years, and there's one thing I believed in. And it works for me, and it'll work for you, too. You can't help getting older, but you don't have to get old. And if you should survive to 105, think of all you'll derive out of being alive. And here's the best part. You've got a head start if you are among the very young at heart. If you are among the very young at heart.
Can you conjure up a trio more classically American than Johnny Cash, his wife June, and our own Harry Reasoner?
This lady has been the biggest hit in my life for the last 20 years. Ladies and gentlemen, June Carter Cash.
They've been married for 14 years, and if any one person can be credited for turning Johnny Cash's life around, it's June Carter Cash.
We got married in a fever, hotter than a pepper sprout. We've been talking about Jackson ever since the fire went out. I'm going to Jackson.
She started performing with her mother, Maybelle Carter, and her sisters when she was a kid. When they met, Johnny Cash was a big star, and June was on her way as a Grand Ole Opry regular. John asked June to join his tour. What she joined was a nightmare in progress.
I became a thief. I stole pills. I stole hotel keys. I did everything that I could, and I did things that I would have never done ordinarily, but I think I did it only because I didn't know what else to do. I thought he would die. And so I flushed things down the commode. I flushed down his amphetamines and his barbiturates, which was what he was taking at the time.
When Elvis Presley died, the nation was stunned. It was shocked to learn the tragic details, the cycle of pills that ate away at his life.
When he died, did you think there but for the grace of God in the hands of the Lord?
Mm-hmm. I sure did. A lot of us did. We talked about it.
They started out together, young men who walked in off the street to the same recording studio in Memphis back in the mid-50s. That's Jerry Lee Lewis on the left, Johnny Cash is on the far right, and Elvis.
There's so many that started back in the mid-50s that are gone now. But there, but for the grace of God, goes me.
Arms of victory, I shall wear, yes, arms of victory.
Johnny once said that Elvis had no one but bodyguards around him, but Johnny has June, and together they have a son, John Carter Cash, and they dote on him. Young John goes on tour whenever school permits, and sometimes when it doesn't. The one-night stand is still the country singer's bread and butter. You can't really afford to stop. The fans who buy the records and watch the TV shows expect it. The musicians and the technicians who travel with him expect it. It does have its rewards, a minimum of $35,000 a night. Altogether, Johnny earns about $5 million a year.
On that rainy Wednesday morning, that's the day that I was born.
The picture you get of Johnny Cash from his music is that of a man alone, the tall man in black with a guitar. Nothing could be further from the truth. Not only does Johnny have plenty of company, he is a company. This is Cashville in every sense of the word.
We have John's book over here for sale, and he'll sign it for you if you'd like to have it.
And it's a nice little family business. That's Johnny's mom. She's at the store near the Cash home in Nashville every day. Johnny and June come by on occasion, on special fan days, and that's June's sister Anita working behind her. Pay your money and take your choice. A T-shirt, an autographed book, Mama Cash's down-home cookbook. Take your picture in front of a picture, or in front of the real thing. And for $2.50, Brother Roy Cash will usher you into the Johnny Cash Museum to see the gold records and memorabilia that goes back to when Johnny was a boy in Dyess, Arkansas.
I keep a close watch on this heart of mine. I keep my eyes wide open all the time. I keep the ends out for the tie that binds. Because you're mine, I walk the line.
The song that sums up his life, I Walk the Line, he wrote in 20 minutes back in 1956. It made him a star and remains his best-selling record. But ironically, they were just words until June Carter came into his life.
Darling companion, I tell the mountains and the canyons, as long as I got legs to stand on, I'm gonna stick by you. One more time. Darling companion, I tell the mountains and the canyons, as long as I got legs to stand on, I'm gonna stick by you. Oh, Harry, too.
No one takes charge of a stage quite the way Pavarotti does. Both Pavarottis.
Sometimes when I speak, I say we, because I mean me and my voice. We are two different things, absolutely. My instrument must be...
How can you be two different things?
It must be two different things, in the terms of thinking. I must think I have here an instrument who is mine because God gave to me, but I have to treat like he's a piano, like he's a violin, like he's another instrument. Then cannot go to my head because I know I cannot do anything without him, without her, without the voice.
A voice is not something that can just be turned on. It is like a piano that must be tuned every day. There is as much tedium of warm-up for a singer as there is for a dancer or an athlete.
Bambino con bocca di latte si faccia stimar, con bocca di latte si faccia
And there are days when it seems that the whole affair has turned to rust.
I need somebody with hot tea.
Pavarotti's base is the Metropolitan Opera, but he spends most of each year on tour.
Chicago. Let's go.
A tenor's prime is short, and the most must be made of it.
The audience are always ready to hear the tenor make a mistake, never a baritone. In my country, for example, they say, let's go to boo the tenor. They never say, let's go to boo the baritone, because they know then instinctively, if he's somebody who can make a mistake, is the tenor, because he has the most difficult voice.
your voice now at age 43 is at its best, or do you have some distance to go yet?
I think now he's at his best. He's already 2 or 3 years, then he's at his best, and I am prepared around 50 to be a little down.
Pavarotti is 56 now and still going strong. But listen to him then, the voice at its prime, the man at his best.